Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we are covering the new top 5 weapons here in Season 5 of Modern Warfare 2. So like every other season, they do buffs, they do nerfs, the metas like to change around, we get new weapons. That being said, my list could 100% be different than yours. This is just my preferences and my opinion. Go down in the comment section, let me know what you think your top 5 weapons are here in Season 5 of Modern Warfare 2. Let's not put up any more time, let's get into it. So I'm recording this after I said that little intro. I could not narrow this down to 5, so I chucked in 2 honorable mentions that I think you guys will also enjoy. So honorable mention number 1 is going to go to the Tempest Razorback. This was in my top 5 last season. It did not receive a nerf or anything, but we have received some new buffs, some new nerfs, some new weapons that overtook its place in the top 5. That being said, it's still an extremely enjoyable weapon, and I think it deserves to be on this list just because I absolutely adore this class setup. Alright, so the Tempest Razorback attachments are on the screen here. We're going to start here with the LTX Eclipse. This is going to give you sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed. You've used the Razorback, I'm sure, and you know how fast firing and how aggressive this weapon is. So you're going to need some attributes to best suit the weapon. You can see how large and how far our handling bar is there. We're tuning on that one attachment, plus 0.26 towards recoil stabilization and negative 0.10 towards your aim down sight speed. For the rear grip, once again, we're going to have an aggressive attachment in the FLT22 for even more sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed. Again, you can see the large increase to our handling there. Yes, it's taking away recoil control and accuracy, but this weapon does not thrive at long range. It's going to be a close range and medium range monster on the map. So getting that snappy aim down sight speed is nothing but a positive here. We got plus 0.55 towards recoil steadiness, then negative 0.20 towards the sprint to fire speed. Heading all the way over here to an underbarrel, you're going to want the F-Tac Ripper 56 to help us with recoil stabilization. Yes, it is an assault rifle. You do need some recoil attachments in order to make it manageable at the medium range. Yes, you're not going to be taking long range fights like I said, but if you can't hit medium range shots, then it's not a very effective assault rifle. Tuning, we got negative 0.49 towards aim down sight speed and negative 0.30 towards aim walking speed. For the muzzle, same reason we're going with the F-Tac Ripper 56. We do need to increase a bit of the recoil control here, but nothing too crazy. This doesn't affect our aim down sight speed all too much. The FJX Fulcrum Pro does a very good job of doing so. You're tuning negative 0.52 towards aim down sight speed, plus 0.11 towards the recoil control. And the last attachment is going to be the Schlager Peck Box IV, giving you some extra aim down sight speed. I'm going to call this one the optional attachment. If you want to throw in a larger magazine, maybe an optic, this is the attachment you can take off. But personally, I like the iron sights, and I do like having my weapon aim down sight as fast as possible. Tuning is going to be negative 0.35 towards sprint to fire speed and negative 31.26 towards the aim down sight speed. There are all of your attachments on the screen. Feel free to copy those down. If you need to rewind and copy down the tunings, I highly recommend you do so. Like I said, I really adore this one. Yeah, it may not be in the top 5, but as you can see, it would definitely be in my top 10 weapons in this game. Honorable mention number 2 is going to the TAC 56. So this weapon, if you were not aware, received a massive nerf back in Season 4 Reloaded, and it really ruined the damage range. Now, it's not going to be in the top 5 on my list strictly because there are weapons that do a better job now, that shoot better at distance, that have a better, faster time to kill in medium range. That being said, it's probably the easiest weapon in the game to use, 0 recoil, so it really can't slide out of the top 10 in general just because of the ease of use. That being said, definitely not as good as it once was. So I featured this class setup not too long ago, maybe a week or 2 ago on the channel, and I explained exactly why I decided to change my attachments up. I went for a more aggressive approach. You need to add some aim down sight speed attachments in order to make it thrive more as an aggressive weapon. You're no longer going to want to be shooting across the map with this one, but recoil is still pretty low. That being said, though, the damage range is the biggest problem here with this weapon. So we're going to start here with a stock in the TV Cardinal for some just mobility attributes added here. Aim walking speed and sprint speed. Obviously, when you're strafing side to side, it's much harder to hit, and getting across the map a little quicker is definitely going to throw your enemies off guard. Tuning for this attachment, negative 1.42 towards your aim down sight speed, negative 0.93 towards the aim walking speed. For the rear grip, you're going to want the Demo Clean Shot for sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed. Basically what I just said, we're targeting more of an aggressive approach here. You're going to need attachments like this one, plus 0.32 towards recoil steadiness and negative 0.26 towards the sprint to fire speed for that tuning. For the muzzle, the Corvus Gen +0.2. This is going to give you recoil steadiness. You do need some recoil attachments still, just to, you know, help you a bit in the longer ranges, and it really doesn't take away all too much of your aim down sight speed here. It's nothing that you're really going to notice. Tuning, -0.52 towards aim down sight speed, and +0.37 towards your gun kick control. For the barrel, you're going to need the 17.5-inch Tundra. There were a lot of builds out there that didn't require you to run a barrel on the TAC 56. However, it's an absolute pea shooter without it now. The Tundra Pro barrel is 100% necessary now. Otherwise, you're going to be getting 9 hit markers at range, which, let's be honest, no one's trying to do that. That just makes it a much more difficult time. Tuning is +0.15 towards recoil steadiness, -0.12 towards aim down sight speed. For the laser sight, the Schlager Packbox IV. Once again, this is an optional attachment. If you want to throw in an underbarrel for some more recoil control, possibly an optic, or even a larger ammo count, this is the attachment you take off, but I'm targeting an aggressive approach here, and I wanted to maximize my aim down sight speed. Tuning, -0.44 towards sprint to fire speed, and -36.19 towards the aim down sight speed. So this was number 1 on my list, basically, since season 1. Obviously, I think it did deserve a nerf. It didn't get nerfed into the ground by any means. I think it's actually in a pretty good place now. I don't know. This one's going to be a hot take, I think. I think people are going to disagree with me, but make sure you guys go down in the comment section and let me know. We are now sliding into my official top 5, and we're going to be starting the list with a shotgun, something I've never included in my top 5 lists here. The MX Guardian is making an appearance. The build that I have basically turns this thing into the Brecci 2.0. The reason it can't skyrocket up the list into the top 3 is simply because of the viability. It's only good at close range, where the other weapons on the list, obviously they are ranged weapons, and that means they have more versatility. That being said, this thing's an absolute close range monster, and it has taken over shipment. All right, so we're going to start with a trigger action here, and you're going to want the semi-auto. This is going to increase your base damage. So the full auto, the semi-auto, and the burst fire, all good options. The weapon as a whole is very, very good, but I personally really enjoy the semi-auto because it gives you high-grade ammunition, meaning you're going to get a farther damage range, you're going to get a farther damage profile, it's going to be less bullets to kill. This, I would say, is a preference. If you want full auto, feel free to use it. If you want burst fire, feel free to use it. But personally, I'm a semi-auto fan. For the underbarrel, you're going to want the Merc foregrip here. The Merc foregrip is going to give you hip fire accuracy and hip recoil control, along with recoil steadiness and aim walking steadiness. The big ones I'm chasing there is going to be the hip fire accuracy and recoil control. This is a weapon you're not really going to want to aim down the sights with. You're going to be sprinting down lanes, just hip firing down shipment, right in the middle of the crates there, just spraying the trigger. That's where you're going to find the most success. So when you're hip firing like that, you're going to need an attachment like the Merc foregrip to control some of that and make you a little more accurate. I feel like that makes enough sense that it doesn't need any more explaining. Your tuning here is going to be -0.65 towards hip walking speed and +0.28 towards hip fire accuracy. For the muzzle, you're going to want the Bryson choke for the tightest pellet spread possible. So that being said, you're going to have to be a little more accurate. But your pellet spread being much tighter means it's going to take technically less bullets to kill. It's going to be, you're not going to be missing as many pellets. At close range, obviously, a wide pellet spread is no big deal. But at range, the tighter pellet spread is going to make it so you're going to effectively have a better damage range because more of your pellets are going to be hitting the enemy. Your tuning -0.10 towards sprint to fire speed, -0.19 towards the aim down sight speed. Actually, that's wrong. I don't know why it's aim down sight speed. We're going damage range there, +0.23. Ignore that last part. Ignore that. I'm sorry. I don't know why that was tuned that way. Your barrel, you're going to want the HYPLM for damage range, bullet velocity, recoil control, and hipfire accuracy. I'm going to be honest, I don't care about the bullet velocity. I don't care about the recoil control. That damage range is the big one we're chasing here, and the hipfire accuracy is a nice added addition. Your tuning, +0.24 towards recoil steadiness, and +0.34 towards your damage range. And our last attachment is the Point G3P04, hip recoil control, hip fire accuracy, and sprint to fire speed. Obviously, this is a hip fire laser that also increases your sprint to fire speed. The only downside is it is visible at the hip, but I feel like if you're using this weapon, you're in close quarters engagements. No one's really looking for that laser sight on a small map like Shipment or even Shoot House for that matter. Tuning, we got -0.36 towards hip walking speed and -39.48 towards your sprint to fire speed. As I stated, this thing is taking over Shipment for good reason. It's a top 5 on this list for a reason. And if you haven't had the chance to try this thing out, definitely do so. It's extremely fun, extremely toxic, and a little annoying to die to. So we have arrived at number 4, where we're going to have the Vaznev 9K. Similar to the TAC 56, the Vaznev did receive a nerf. The difference is this wasn't as bad because there's some attachments that can really improve the weapon as a whole. and get it back to about where it was before. The only downside is we're going to be slowing down the mobility, slowing down the handling in order to increase that damage range, which is 100% necessary. So for a stock, this is a change. I discussed this when I posted the Vaznev very recently on the channel. I'm going with the broadside FCT. Formerly, I was going with the Otrazat stock because we're not sacrificing any recoil control, but we're still gaining some mobility. You're going to need some aim down sight speed attachments to increase the mobility of the weapon. Yes, we are sacrificing a bit of recoil control, but I don't expect myself to be shooting across the map with a Vaznev. The broadside FCT is definitely the new best option here. Either that or the Marquee VAR-7. I'm going to leave that up to you. Whatever one you want to go with, that's both options are pretty good. My preference is the broadside FCT. Tuning is plus 0.39 towards aim walking steadiness and negative 0.85 towards aim walking speed. For the rear grip, the True Tac grip, an attachment that has never changed. For sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed, very good attachment for aggressive weapons like the Vaznev. Tuning is going to be plus 0.84 towards recoil steadiness and negative 0.26 towards your sprint to fire speed. Heading over here to an underbarrel, we have the FSS Sharkfin 90. Think of this attachment more as a placeholder for tuning. We have 0 cons to running it, and it gives you aiming idle stability. This is an attachment that if you need more recoil control, you can swap it out for a different underbarrel. But that being said, you're going to be slowing down the weapon more by doing so. Your tuning, you're going to want it negative 0.31 towards aim down sight speed, negative 0.26 towards aim down sight speed. For the muzzle, the Spiral V3.5 flash hider, that's going to give you some recoil steadiness. And as you can see on the stat bar, we're virtually sacrificing no aim down sight speed in the process, and that's plenty of enough recoil control for this weapon. Tuning, negative 0.61 towards aim down sight speed, plus 0.21 towards your gun kick control. In the last attachment, which is a change, the CAS 1 254mm barrel, giving you damage range, hipfire accuracy, and bullet velocity. This is what's going to significantly slow down your weapon. But in order to get your damage range back up to par, you're going to need this attachment. The other barrel, yeah, it gives you some recoil control, but it doesn't give you as much damage range. So I'm going to say try whichever one you like more. I've experimented with both, and the CAS seems to be the one that I find the most success with. Your tuning is going to be plus 0.31 towards recoil steadiness and negative 0.30 towards aim down sight speed. I feel like this one won't be a hot take, unlike the TAC 56. This one was definitely not as popular as the TAC. The TAC was definitely and still is an easier weapon to use, but for aggressive players, it's still a very viable choice of weaponry. There is one SMG, however, that I do have above this one. As I just stated, we have an SMG that I have ranked above the Vaznev. That's the ISO 45. This weapon is a close range damage monster, and you can fly around the map. It has a much higher damage profile than the Vaznev, but a larger damage range drop off. Your most success is going to be found at close range playing extremely aggressive. The headshot multiplier is absolutely absurd. I believe they changed it. It used to be able you could 2-shot with it. I believe it's now a 3-shot, which I'm going to be honest, I didn't really notice too much when they decided to nerf this weapon. It's still an absolute monster. We're going to start this build with an optic in the Slimline Pro. So I hate the iron sights on this weapon. I've stated it on the channel in the past. The iron sights are absolutely horrendous. My personal preference for optics is the Slimline Pro. You guys can run a different reflex sight if you want, or even the iron sights, but for my particular build here, I have the Slimline Pro. Tuning, we got negative 2.13 towards aim down sight speed, negative 2.25 towards far. Heading all the way down here to a rear grip, you're going to want the A30 Stout for base recoil control. I'm sure you've used the weapon. At range, this thing has a pretty sporadic and wild recoil pattern, but we're helping the cause with the A30 Stout here. Negative 0.29 towards aim down sight speed and negative 0.28 towards sprint to fire speed for the tuning. For the magazine, I'm going with the 45 round drum. This is an optional attachment. If you're struggling with recoil still, I would recommend taking off this magazine and throwing on an underbarrel. I've done builds like that in the past, but I do like to have a lot of bullets just in case 4 or 5 enemies around the corner. You're going to be getting all those kills with this high damage weapon. Your muzzle here, you're going to want the Spiral V3.5 flash hider, giving you recoil steadiness, virtually no aim down sight speed sacrifice, same as the Vaznev there. It's a pretty good muzzle overall. Tuning is negative 0.23 towards aim down sight speed and plus 0.30 towards gun kick control. And our last attachment is the 9-inch PTX trainer. You're going to need some damage range increase based on experience. I tried it without a barrel. I tried it with a max aim down sight speed build. The damage range is definitely necessary. It's quite a pea shooter at range without this attachment. I also tried this big one. It made the weapon far too slow. Avoid the 16L XLBS. This 9-inch is kind of just the perfect world for this weapon. You increase your damage range to help you at medium range. while still having a pretty high mobility. Tuning is going to be plus 0.18 towards recoil steadiness and negative 0.31 towards aim down sight speed. When it comes to comparing the Vaznev to the ISO 45, they're much different weapons, and I can definitely see a world where people are going to disagree and think the Vaznev is still better. But from my personal preferences and from my playtime, I enjoy the ISO 45 now much more than the Vaznev. Go down in the comment section, let me know. Vaznev or ISO 45, which one you going with? At number 2, the brand new assault rifle into the Modern Warfare 2 family, the FR Advancer, the FFAR, the FAMAS, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure all of us have used a FAMAS here in Call of Duty throughout history. This weapon is very well known for being a close and medium range, just monster. Absolutely menace on the map. The biggest downfall is going to be long range fights, and it's not because of the damage range itself, it's just because of the recoil pattern. It actually has a very good damage range when everything's said and done, but still not recommended that you take those super far fights with this one. So unfortunately, I cannot tune any of these attachments because I don't have it fully leveled up, but I have a very good build for you guys. I've been playing around with it, and I think this is going to be my build going forward, especially once I get tuning involved. We're going to start with the stock with the FR Sprinter, giving you aim walking speed and sprint speed just to boost the mobility of the weapon. Obviously, with a close range choice, having some mobility is a pretty good option there. Again, I can't tune that. I apologize. Your comb, you're going to want the FR Giga. That's a funny name. I didn't even realize that's what it was called. Sprint to fire speed, named out sight speed gained here. Pretty self-explanatory attachment. Same thing we're using the stock for. Aggression, getting up close and personal with people. Self-explanatory. Heading all the way down here to a magazine, I have the 45 round mag. It comes stock with 25 bullets in a magazine. That's just not enough. That's kind of been a staple throughout Call of Duty with a weapon like this. They always have a low ammo count, and you got to increase it with a different magazine size. 45 is kind of the sweet spot. I don't think 60 is 100% necessary. Here, 45, like I said, tends to be the sweet spot. For your underbarrel, you're going to want the FTAC Ripper 56. Give you aiming idle stability, hipfire accuracy, and recoil stabilization. This is going to help you a lot in the ranges when it comes to side-to-side bounce with the weapon. Don't get it wrong, it's not zero recoil, but it's definitely much more manageable when you chuck this on. I, again, can't tune. I was about to say, for your tuning, unfortunately, I can't do that. Your muzzle, the Cronin OP44, vertical and horizontal recoil control. Obviously, pretty self-explanatory. It's going to help you in the longer ranges, and it's not all that hard to use. You guys saw the little clip in the firing range. It's not too hard. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel with the notifications on. I'm going to have a video for this FR Advancer with all the tunings later on today once I get it fully leveled up. As of right now, I believe I'm level 11 or 12. But again, I've been playing around with it. I played some custom games with some people, and we were playing around with attachments with the new weapons, and this seems to be the consensus amongst us all. This seems to be the build that we're finding the most success with. Making an appearance at number 1, once again on my top 5 list, is going to be the M4. It's quite simple. It's the overall versatility of this weapon that pushes it up the list. It's not, and it thrives at absolutely everything. It has a super fast fire rate for close range, low recoil for long range. In the medium range, it just makes sense. Fast fire rate, low recoil, medium range is gonna work. Again, it's a versatility thing. The TAC 56 used to be that weapon that did a good job at everything. The M4 just does a better job now. That's exactly why it's at number 1. A lot of people have already seen this setup from me, so if you've already seen it, I apologize. If you need a refresher, here you go. Demo Fade Pro Stock is where we're starting, giving you aim walking speed and sprint speed while not sacrificing recoil control, and that's the big one there. I'm sure you've used the M4. It does have a pretty sporadic recoil pattern without the right attachments. Your tuning for that attachment is going to be negative 2.45 towards your aim down sight speed and negative 1.55 towards the aim walking speed. The rear grip is going to be the X10 grip, helping you get your gun up a little quicker for those close range engagements that I referred to when I was explaining why this weapon was at number 1. Now, your tuning for that one is going to be plus 0.71 towards your recoil steadiness, negative 0.45 towards your sprint to fire speed. Heading down to an underbarrel is the FTAC Ripper 56. The same reason I was running it on other weapons. You can see the large increase of the accuracy here. It's going to help you a lot in the long range as far as side-to-side bounce while you're shooting the weapon. Tuning is going to be negative 0.46 towards aim down sight speed and negative 0.32 towards your aim walking speed. The muzzle is going to be the Cronin OP44 or the FJX Fulcrum Pro, whatever one you prefer. It doesn't really matter. It's more of just an appearance thing, giving you vertical and horizontal recoil control. This is the big attachment that's going to help you in the long range. Your tuning, negative 0.44 towards aim down sight speed and plus 0.16 towards your base recoil control. And the last attachment, probably the most important as well, is the high tower 20-inch barrel. It significantly slows down the weapon, but this is what makes it a damage range monster. We gain recoil control, damage range, bullet velocity, and hipfire accuracy. All of those attributes are very, very good for long range fights. Without this attachment, it's only really viable at medium and close range. This is what makes it a very versatile, very viable weapon at every range on the map. Your tuning, negative 0.31 towards aim walking speed and negative 0.29 towards the aim down sight speed. I feel like I did a great job explaining that. Versatile weapon. There's your attachments. Make sure you guys rewind if you need to copy down the tuning or pause, whatever you got to do. Definitely give it a try. I promise you won't be disappointed. Yeah, there's my top 5. I guess top 7 in a way. I don't know. With that being said, make sure you guys go down in the comment section. Let me know what your top 5 weapons are here in Modern Warfare 2 Season 5. I don't expect everybody's list to be similar with mine, but I highly recommend you give all my setups a try. That way you guys can see the freaking fire I'm putting out. I'm telling you, I never disappoint with my setups. I get a few trolls here and there, but for the most part, I get some pretty positive feedback on my setups. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. As always, I'll see you guys in the next video.